Did it?
There we are. Welcome back, everybody. I am Tara.
I'm Natalie.
And we are making a movie, and this is a podcast about making a movie. We are so glad to have you back. If you're
That
just
card is
now
done.
that card's done. If you are just now joining us, though, if this is your first episode ever, Natalie and I are making a movie. It's called Turns Out. We have structured this podcast in a way to follow the full breadth of the adventure of creating your own feature film as our excuse to learn. And right now we are deep in the screenwriting portion of the world. Yeah.
We're in the screenwriting portion of the podcast. In our real life, we're in the final location
That's a really good
phase
distinction.
of the world.
Yeah, that's a good distinction. Actually, we have a fully written screenplay, and so we're kind of doubling back on. And honestly, I'm learning a lot already about screenwriting. I don't necessarily consider myself a writer, but I'm feeling more competent about writing now.
More writer-y. Do you feel more
Yeah,
writer-y now?
I do. Well, and like, listen, the TikTok feed that we've got, I've been posting the clips from the show on the TikTok, and now it's feeding me all these little TikTok bits about writing, and I'm starting to feel very smart about screenwriting. I don't know about you.
Not me.
That's my.
I mean, I feel like I need to go through and edit our script quite a bit.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
after the LY conversation last week, which you guys will have to go back and catch that on your own. I'm not going to recap it over here. But after that, I'm like, ooh, I need to make some changes.
If I had just 10 more minutes of time last week in the middle of us editing and trying to get our own short film ready, I was going to sit down and start looking for LING and ings because now I'm perturbed.
We should do that and have a count for next week.
We should. Did you just assign us homework for next week?
I did. I assigned you homework.
Great. You assigned you. Great. I just got my week back, and now she took it away again. All right. Today we are doing another interview episode, which I'm gonna say after 2 interview episodes under our belt, these are my favorites. One part because they do all the heavy lifting and talking, but the other part because I feel like I'm learning a lot, asking our colleagues all these questions that I've always wanted to talk to them about, but like, in an informal setting feels awkward to have a note card with questions on it about how do you write. Today we are interviewing my dear friend Brian Newlin. Brian Newlin is a screenwriter. He's an animator turned screenwriter. And how Brian Newlin came to our world is Twitter. I was on a set on a different project. It was this year that I had decided I was going to do 3 projects in 1 year. I was going to push myself to really kind of like try and get some momentum. This is also the same year, Natalie, I don't remember this, but I had an acting teacher tell me that nothing I do matters, so do whatever you want, which was like the greatest advice I had ever had. Like, do you have a fully fledged acting career? I was like, no, I don't. I'm not getting paid for it. He's like, then do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And I took that idea. I was like, I'm going to make my own content. I'm going to make it happen.
He basically was like, do you have anything to burn down? No, then burn it all.
And burn it all. It was the most harsh conversation.
Yeah.
But it was the most helpful and freeing conversation I ever had. And every once in a blue moon, I will tell myself, what does it matter? None of this matters. Do whatever you want. There are no rules, despite what people want to tell you. Anyways, so at the same time, this is when you and I were doing Imaginary Friends. I was on set with my parents. Actually, we were doing a short film together called Room 313. And I was on Twitter, and this tweet came past my thing that was a log line for a web series called Social Medium, which was a series about a hipster girl who had medium psychic abilities to talk to ghosts, but only through social media. She could only contact the ghosts through apps like Yelp or on Twitter and stuff like that. And I thought the log line was so brilliant. I immediately DM'd this person I did not know and said, if you are making this show, I would like to audition for the role of Beatrix. And he's like, oh, no, it's just a joke. It's just a show. And he was writing like log lines for each episode in this thread, and each one just got better and better. It was so good. And I was like, well, then if you're not doing it, can I please make this? And he goes, yeah, whatever. Do whatever you want. I don't know.
I don't care.
So, yeah, this is not going to, you're not going to do it.
Go
So,
away, girl.
so he and I started chatting, and I kept pulling out of him, like, I want to do this, I want to do this. And it slowly over time, we managed to make it. We made it happen. We created our own writer's room. He was living in San Francisco at the time, and we wound up doing everything virtually. We'd never met until I think like the show was done, and we were doing a wrap party, and Brian came to town. And that's when we actually like met in person for the first time. We did all of our writers' room. We brought other writers in to be in the writers' room. We had like a proper, I'm doing air quotes around myself really intensely, a proper writers' room where we had like a board up, and we did episodes, and we figured everything out. This giant intricate web. It was an interactive social media. It was a whole thing. And that's how Brian and I got to know each other. It was doing this project together and like going through the trenches of making this project, doing a fundraiser, all this stuff with zero experience or backbone before it. And
this is how we do all of our projects.
Ain't that the way? I want to say I've cornered the market on building the plane as you fly it a little too intensely sometimes. I forget that there need to be seats.
It's a nice plane you got here.
There's nowhere to sit down, Tara. Like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. So then a bunch of stuff happened, and I'll let Brian touch more on this, but he wound up, he was at DreamWorks at the time as an animator, and through a series of events, he and his whole family moved down to Los Angeles, and so he and I got to start hanging out more often, and we would go grab coffee very often. Like, one of our favorite things to do is to go to Base Camp. If you don't know what Base Camp is here in LA, you got to check it out. It's my favorite breakfast spot. And we've just been meeting up regularly over and over again. And then Natalie and I had this movie called Evil Teddy that we have been trying to crack the code on why Teddy is evil. Why?
It's our big hang up of why we can't make this movie is because it's a hang up on why we can't make it now.
It's a great movie concept. I think it would sell really well. The only reason why it hasn't won out over, turns out, as far as getting it done, is because at the time that we were working on things, it requires so much more people and money, and we couldn't control it as much. Like, we couldn't keep the budget as down. So, but when we finish, turns out, the next podcast, maybe we're making a movie, Evil Teddy edition, and you may have to follow us on that
again
journey.
On a new adventure.
I know, which means you may be seeing Brian more. No promises. We do what we want here.
Like, what? What?
No, don't sign me up for this.
Bring him in the room.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so we brought him in to help us with why is Teddy evil, and I don't know, what is this movie? And he wound up bringing us this amazing, was it an outline that he brought us?
Like, yeah, within like no time at all, we had this outline that solved all of our problems and was so much better than anything. Like, we had a fake trailer we had made 10 years ago for a fake movie and sent that and was like, hey, we've got this idea. It's an evil teddy bear. Go. And Brian came back like a week later with a treatment, and we were like,
it was so good.
This is amazing. And then life happened.
And then life
As
happened.
all things happen, life happened.
Pandemic happened. Yeah. Well, and also, I wanted, the pitch for the show at the time was, it's Bridesmaids meets Chucky, was what we wound up coming up, which now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, dang, that's
still
brilliant.
Amazing. Yeah.
That's so good. Oh my God, that combination. Anyways. So, and now at present, Brian and I grab coffee as often as we can and commiserate over what's going on in our lives and career, which has been a whole lot of struggling together. But Brian, I will let Brian cover this, but Brian has done some pretty impressive projects at this point, as far as like meeting people and getting in rooms and writing. And he won't think he's impressive. Everybody, I'm going to tell you that now. But we're going to poke him until he realizes how awesome he is. He can hear you. I don't care. It's fine. I know.
Let's bring him in, Tara.
Let's bring him in. All right.
Welcome, Brian.
Hi. I'm Brian Newlin. I'm extremely good looking. Did I do well?
That's awesome.
Good job.
I mean, it's a podcast, so everyone's going to has no idea.
They just have to take my word on it unless they look me up. Very good looking, and charming and well dressed. So that's the extent of my kudos to myself.
No, do not.
Oh my God!
You could just read your bio. I'm sure you have it there.
Yeah.
Oh my! I'm not gonna read my bio. Yeah, your description of how we met is crazy. I'm glad you remember all those details because it was a blur to me. To be honest, yeah. But I can. Yeah,
like, ahead, what do you remember of me reaching out to you the first time? Were you like, you're a crazy person?
No. I showed Jen your message, my wife Jen, and she's like, "You're being catfished." Like that was like the first impression was that there's no possible way that you're a real person and that you were just gonna ask me for my social security number and bank
Tara
information.
comes across that way a little bit though sometimes, like
what's
wrong with this person?
10 years later, I'm still not so sure. It's still
this could be the longest catfish.
It's the longest catfish. I pull a mask off at our next coffee. I'm like, some 80-year-old man. I was like,
she left my credit card. So yeah, before that happened, before I started tweeting those social media log lines, this was I mean, like you said, I'd always been an animator. I've been an animator since college. I went to Ringling College of Art and Design in Florida, and I always wanted to be an animator. But as I was doing that, I worked in games and TV commercials and film. I really went at it, unfortunately, thinking that I'm really funny. They're going to discover me. I'm going to they'll let me write eventually. And as the years went on, it turned out that wasn't going to be the case. So I was pitching constantly at DreamWorks. I had movie ideas that I wanted to pitch. And the day that I had started tweeting those out, I had a pitch meeting internally at DreamWorks Animation, and the note, I don't even remember what the movie idea was, but the note, as always, came back. This isn't world busting enough. It's not like this isn't going to make us $300 million in return. Your stories tend to be small and personal and sort of they don't have a large world affecting stakes. And so I came home and I started to drink. And I had a little bit to drink.
He's a writer.
And I said to myself, I'm gonna do okay, fine. They don't like this idea. I spent so much time doing it. I'm just gonna make this up. And what is the first thought that I have in my head is, a girl that can only talk to ghosts through social media. And I think I tweeted out like an entire season, maybe. It was at least 10 episodes, maybe 12.
You did the whole arc. Yeah, you did a 10 episode arc.
Yeah. And that was over the course of maybe an hour or two that I came up with all of those. And then the next morning I looked at my phone and you're there, and I like, somebody responded to this, and Jen said, "You're being catfished."
Wow.
But I responded to you, and luckily I did, because that was crazy. Like that was the first time I had a project that I conceived of or wrote that actually made it to a finished piece.
Yeah.
Other than like college shorts, things like that. And I've done a couple small short film things like that, but way early on. So
Tara, you launched his writing career.
Honestly, like I mean, it was that thing that I was like, oh, I can actually do this. Like somebody actually responds to something I wrote to, which it hadn't happened a whole lot of times before that. Because
it's also really good.
I was gonna say there's also something about seeing it done in its final version too, to go, oh wait, though what I had in here does work. It, up until that moment that it's like wrapped and it's up on the screen, it's always like, did that work? I mean, still, while we're filming things that we've written and we'll go, is this working? Is this working? Is this working? And it's not until it's finally done, you're like, okay, I was right when it popped in here.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what stops so many people is like you're like it's everyone's gonna hate this. Like I'm being dumb, and that's what I thought as I was tweeting that stuff out. I'm being dumb. This is just an imaginary show that would air on whatever the WB in a parallel universe.
It is a bigger, funnier concept than maybe the WB would take on. But it really, in my opinion, the idea of merging these two things together, especially at that time and space when like apps were just coming out and being a big thing, I thought it was brilliant. I thought the idea was so fun and clever. Like, and the big guys aren't going to take a risk on something like that, so it felt worth making it to me, and especially because, go ahead.
I was to say, but they do now. Like, there's been enough of those things like iZombie and things like that. iZombie, that's the one where she eats the brains and like, there's enough of those now that like, it's just, you still have to have proof that you can write. You know, it's like, you can't just go, here's a funny script. Like, I can write a whole series. You know, you have to have those things under your belt or no one's going to do it. And it takes things like these little connections to make those happen the first couple times.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of people, again, it took me a long time to figure out that no one was going to come looking for me. Like, I had to start putting stuff out there and making stuff for anybody to notice, because you can have an idea. I always do that thing where something I came up, I jotted down in a notebook, whatever, 10, 15 years ago, is now a movie. And I'm like, fuck, somebody actually, can I swear on this?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, you're good.
Somebody actually went ahead with that idea. At the time, I just thought, this is dumb, and I'm going to write it down and put it in a piece of paper and shove it in a desk drawer. But now they're actually making people, like, it eventually comes around. And if you aren't willing to put in the extra effort, I mean, like you did, Tara, to actually put it on film and put it out there, it's just going to sit in your drawer, and no one's going to, you're never going to get another chance to do it.
It's not going to make itself.
No. Well, and it just requires a level of vulnerability to go, I'm going to do this thing. And the level and the amount of people who are going to tell you can't do that, it's wrong, it's bad, it's no good. Like, you're going to walk through that gauntlet of even just people's lack of enthusiasm or, oh, okay, is enough of a deterrent to keep a creative from creating. And you just have to, like, it's so hard, but you just have to ignore it. Luckily, I have a lifetime of people telling me my ideas are dumb and you shouldn't do that. And then I just I'm a little bit of a, okay, whatever. Like, that's a whole lifetime of practice in that department. But even then, I still have ideas that I just don't, like, I'm like, I don't know, is this a good idea? Yeah. I have it's a notebook full of, like, and not even just film related, just ideas of things to do that I don't do because I'm so afraid of the judgment, especially of just trying and then abandoning. I am so afraid of that judgment.
That's actually, it's more than the failure is the failure to complete is terrifying.
Yeah. Which is fine. It's okay to try out an idea, do a couple of, like, episodes or videos or whatever and go, yeah, this isn't quite what I was hoping, and abandon the project.
Or 6 seasons of something and then decide that, you know, that
you're
it
done.
Just wasn't going to be the thing that catches
I think of every oh my god, I think of every dumb YouTube or Instagram account I've created that are now just dead accounts that sit there for an idea I had that I quietly launched into the world. And I'm sure Natalie knows because she's a CIA agent, basically sleuthing. Yeah, she knows about all of them. Yeah, but there's so many that I've abandoned. And so I just took this segue to say, don't be afraid to try and abandon an idea, because what if it's the next Guardians of the Galaxy? I don't know if that's the idea. Yeah.
It doesn't get any easier as you get older. Like I am naturally, I call myself like a gregarious agoraphobe. Like, I really love people. I really like being around them, but I'm so nervous in crowds and presenting myself. So it's a constant battle of having these ideas and wanting to share them, and then just being so self-conscious as I start to talk about, oh my God, they're gonna think I'm an idiot. I'm blowing this. As I'm opening my mouth, I'm blowing this immediately in any conversation.
Well, you're killing it right now.
I was just saying, and also I think like that social media in some ways can be helpful with that, because I love your your little sketches and there's been plenty of those that I've thought that there's a little sketch and it's family circus style and then it's just one frame or whatever, and it's you and your kid or whatever. And I've often, I've often thought like those would make a great series. Like,
thank you.
Turn it into a series of, and I don't just mean, do you know Awkward Yeti?
Yeah.
Are you Awkward Yeti?
No,
just out of curiosity.
He could have been though. Absolutely could have been.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I love Awkward Yeti.
I could see that.
My goodness.
So
I've heard that before. Somebody's like, why don't you just do comics? And I think, I start to do it. Then I'm like, nobody's going to look at this. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. But I don't mean as a comic series. I look at your just single frame and I'm like, I can write a sketch off of this. This is an entire sketch. This isn't just, there's so much depth behind like the one little thing that's in that. Like I can picture, it could be a whole sitcom.
I love sketch. I love writing sketch. I when we first moved to LA, my wife bought me whatever one class or whatever the series of classes at UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade, and I had so much fun writing sketches. For some reason, the teacher, I think she hated me because she was so mean to me the entire time. I was like, I guess I'm terrible at this. But I read them like these were pretty funny, I think. But she did not respond to me at all.
It's actually the reason that I never went to Groundlings or Second City or any of that was because I had already done improv and sketch for quite some time. And I was so terrified that they would tell me I wasn't funny. And I was already convinced I was. And I was like, this can only damage me. If I go in there and they tell me I'm not funny, I won't recover. So
it really crushed me for a little bit. And it took me a while to recover from that. As always, like anytime you get something that is a bad response, I think there are people that are able to take that information and process it and go, okay, well, what were they responding to? What's the note behind the note? Like, what is it that they're not liking about this? And they can move on. For me, I dwell on it for days and days. I'm never gonna write again. This is awful. And that's how I felt coming out of that class. But I had such a great time doing it. And someday I want to see those get done. So we'll see.
That's my favorite sketch.
Yeah, let's back up a little bit before we get too in the weeds of chit-chatting. I just want to back up a little bit and go back to you were at animating, and then I tweeted you like your career part.
So you want to know like what I did before I tweeted?
Yeah, well, not before you tweeted. Just
what's happened since then?
Yeah. What's happened since? How did you get here? What have you been up to? Yeah, because you and I and Natalie will chat all day long, which is not uninteresting, but we need a little more context.
Yeah. Okay. So like you said, I was an animator. I started off Ringling, and somebody asked a question like the circus. Yes, like the circus. It was the John and Mabel. They were part of the Ringling Circus group, and they built an art school in Sarasota, Florida. So I went there. I did commercials, games, ended up at DreamWorks for 12 years. I was what's called a layout animator, which is setting up the shots, kind of cinematography, and set dressing for the Shrek movies, Shrek 2 and 3 I was on, and then all the Madagascar movies, Peabody and Sherman, Megamind, and then the last one I was working on as this was all happening was a movie called Boo. It was a DreamWorks movie about ghosts called Boo, and it was reverse Ghostbusters. It was Bill Murray was the villain, and it was about ghosts that like a ghost police squad that keep evil ghosts from doing these really bad hauntings.
And those were the ideas that were going to change the world.
Yeah, that was going to be great. It was going to be, God, the stories I could tell you about why it didn't. So it didn't happen. Never came out. We were about 75-80% done, and I was in discussion. I don't know how likely it was, but I was discussing it with the director about me becoming a writer. There was going to be a Boo series, so this was going to be my big break. To be a writer on an actual show, and the movie got canceled, and they shut the studio down. The PDI DreamWorks was in San Francisco, and they're like, movie's canceled, guys, and we have to close this entire location. You're all laid off.
Oh my goodness.
That was it. And my wife Jen luckily got the call to transfer down to the LA DreamWorks office. She's still there. She's 22 years now. But at that time I thought, well, somebody responded to my writing. They're like, oh, you could be a writer. I had written one full feature script while we were there, and I want to make this someday a comedy about a Renaissance fair. Someday I want to finish it. It's finished. I just got to revise it. But I thought, I'm going to stay home and I'm going to learn how to write. So when we moved to LA, and I was talking to you about, I think by the time I moved down, you were already wrapped on that.
Yeah.
Production. And so, we were doing, we were doing this all virtually after I had been laid off, because I think I laid off like maybe a week after that you took on the Twitter stuff.
Yeah.
And so I was out of work. I was up north packing the house while this was all happening. I was coming down every once in a while, look for a place for us to move to. And I thought, well, I'm just going to stay home and learn how to actually write. So another weird coincidence while this was all going on was that because we were moving to LA and we didn't know anybody, I got invited to a Facebook group for LA moms, because somebody in there thought I knew one person in there, and she thought, Brian's funny, he'll amuse everyone.
Oh yeah.
So I was one of maybe like 2 or 3 males in the entire group. But it turned out that the people that ran that Facebook moms group was Lorianne McKenna, who was a script supervisor at Pixar, and her friend Meg LaFauve, who wrote Inside Out 1 and 2 and Good Dinosaur. So they thought I was funny, and they started mentoring me a little bit about like, hey, send us your work. We're going to read it and give you some notes, and we're going to start introducing you to people. So I spent 2 years writing basically like sketches or shorts, and I had a couple feature things that they looked at. And I met my writing partner through that moms group as well, Justine Gunn, who's another member of the LA Moms Facebook group, and we started writing together kids and family entertainment stuff. So
yeah,
but I still wasn't getting any jobs. Nobody really knew me. My writing stuff was I can tell you, I did a pitch meeting with Meg LaFauve once, which was incredibly intimidating at Disney, and I blew it. Like, I got so nervous during the meeting, and I knew it wasn't going to work out. It didn't.
Oh no!
It didn't collapse because of the pitch. It was because of some technical things about writing Apparently, you can't write an animated show about the Disney parks because it's considered a commercial for the parks. So I didn't know that. So we pitched something about the park. But what did happen was Lorianne, who's a writer on her own, she's writing and pitching, and she works on a bunch of projects. She got offered a job as the co-executive producer of Curious George. And this is while I had taken a part-time job at my son's school, like wiping tables down and helping kindergartners like get their lunch boxes and their juice boxes open.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at a pretty low point where like, this is it. I moved to LA, and I'm basically like a playground supervisor.
Oh wow.
In the middle of all that, Lauren got this job as the co-EP of Curious George, and she didn't like it. She was there for a few weeks, and she's like, I don't want this job on it. So she introduced me, and I don't know how they gave the job to her, because I had been unemployed for about 2 years at that point. I had no experience as an exec producer. I mean, it was nuts. And the responsibilities were kind of vague, but I think they wanted me there because I knew animation. I could do storyboard reviews and script reviews. So, but I can't do budgeting or scheduling because I went to art school. So like all those producery type things that you're really good at, I have no idea.
Wow.
But they did have me reviewing all the scripts that the writers were submitting, rewriting as needed. I would go to all the dailies, the editorial, and so I learned that part of the job that way. And I stayed there until the series ended in 2020. So
everything
that's
ended in 2020.
Yeah, everything ended in 2020. That's basically what it was. They're like, we're all working from home. The showrunner was like, I think I'm done, and she just said, we're done with the show, and that was the end of it.
Wow.
That's
so. Since then, I've written a couple episodes, co-written with Justine, some episodes for a show called Tab Time, which was a YouTube Kids production. Wrote some Blippi stuff. And then there was a Henson. We got called in to pitch to Henson Studios for a holiday Henson movie. So we co-wrote that. Ooh. It hasn't gotten made. I don't know if it ever will. Yeah. Because of all the things that like financing and all this stuff happened. But that was super fun. I got to go to the creature shop, and I met.
Don't tell them you know me. We have bad blood.
Do you? I want to hear why.
Oh God.
But that was my first time writing a full feature for pay, to get paid for for a studio, and it
Yeah.
was
Cool.
a very painful. It's fun, but it like what was supposed to have taken about less than a year took us about 2 years because of all the notes we kept getting. It was a co-production.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
And so they kept giving us more and more and more development notes until I wish that we had gotten to do the first version that we wrote, because I think that was the funniest version, but we'll see if it ever gets made.
I recently saw someone talking about it too. Is it Duplass? Somebody was just talking about how they're trying to make their script without the studios, because once you go to the studio, it is another 5 years of production. Like if you want to make what you've got right now, and it doesn't mean that you don't need edits and you don't need your script's perfect. It doesn't mean that, but going to studio means you're going to get notes, and then you get 12 people sending you notes back. You got 12 groups sending you notes back. And then every time it has to go through all those people again. And he was like trying to just cut it out. I think it was Duplass, and was doing a fundraising for his feature.
Yeah, there's a lot of people with that sentiment right now. Like that's a really hot topic on like the TikTok and stuff like that. Like the studios just make it so much harder. The big studios make it so much harder to make a movie now. Why bother? Just figure out some other way to make your movie, because you'll get it done. Whereas it could just get shelved if you take it over to Paramount.
And I feel that way about I feel that way about independent film a lot. It's that the more money you put behind it, the slower the process is.
Yes.
And often, I mean, I have this short film that I'm trying to get made right now, outside of our feature film, and I want to do it no money. Like I want to guerrilla style this like I'm back in college. Not that I went to college for this, but back to when I was, I'm going to get some college students together. We're going to film this short comedy, and everyone's going to be working for free. I know we hate that. We all hate that. I'll work for free. You work for free. And then we'll all get to like make something. Like I just want to make it. Like,
I completely agree.
Like, I hate
there's a time and a place for that.
Yeah. I can get not paid to sit at home, or I can get not paid to make this. Right. So I'd rather make it.
Sometimes more money is what you need, but sometimes less money, a little less money, and you have that challenge of like, how are we going to make this happen? You wind up with a better product because you had to get creative. Even in the financial aspect of it, you had to get creative and like figure it out. Like I was working on a project as a producer, and I had no money, and they wanted to do a lot of it in a casino, which filming in a casino is wildly expensive. And so I went to a bunch of casinos and like started talking to people, and eventually figured out the most important thing about the casino is the floor. It's the carpet. I need that carpet to make it look like a casino, and I can bring in everything else. And in doing this process of figuring out how to make it this short film on a budget, I realized by the time we got done and filmed it, like all the casinos we had wouldn't have been the right casino anyways, because they're all so modern now. They don't fit the actual time period of the casino. So plan C or D is what that one was the right answer in the end anyway. So like,
I'm going to talk about that a little bit, because I was on that set helping out with costuming. It was amazing. They basically had the ballroom or the just an extra conference room inside of what is a casino, but it was an empty space. And then they brought in slot machines, and they brought in tables, and all you needed, how many did you have? Like 6 slot machines?
I think we had 4.
Yeah, and then you
we just kept moving them.
Kept shooting in different directions, and then a hell of a lot of fog machine.
And a fog machine. Our set deck.
It was so great. It looked fantastic.
Kathleen, our set deck she is brilliant, and she figured out how to make this one little space we had into like 10 different casinos just by and our DP too, just moving things around a little bit. Like, let's go from this angle. Now we're somewhere else. We'll change the color. Oh God. And so with little money, I actually was grateful for the fact that we didn't have that money, because it wound up getting a better product in the end, because it was more true to the time, blah, 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 blah. Point is, hurdles are not always hurdles. Sometimes they're your answer. You just got to figure out why and how.
Well, I think a classic one on not that hurdles thing, but a classic one of just like making do, and I always go back to this one, is Monty Python's Holy Grail. They only could get one castle. So they shot that every castle they had is the exact same castle. Yeah, exactly. Every castle they had was the same castle. They just hung curtains and used different curtains and used a different hallway. Yeah. It was like some different tapestries. Different and done, and no one notices that. Like
they fooled me.
My favorite, no horses. They couldn't afford horses, so the the penultimate, no, the joke we all remember from Monty Python's Holy Grail, the coconut, the thing that is like the one thing you take away from it is the coconut horse thing. And it's because they didn't have money for horses. Your hurdle is sometimes your answer.
Also just make it happen, you know?
Make it happen.
That's why I mean, I have not worked a lot in live action. My background's animation, and especially the DreamWorks, the budgets are huge. So you didn't think about that stuff. Like everything was an explosion, or, the world breaks in half, or a car crash scene.
It doesn't cost any more money.
Right. They're just paying us to stay late. It's they're used to these huge budget solutions to these problems. And so my department was, like I said, final layout, where we had to sort of set dress these things and kind of come up with the DreamWorks animation version of problem solving. Is just add a bunch of trees. Like you just cover this with trees, or you rotate Shrek's castle around, which you couldn't do in live action. So I had no concept of that. So my first couple of preschool scripts probably would have cost like $1 million to shoot, because or to animate, because I was so used to the idea of, well, you just have 18 monsters come out of the closet, right? And like, no, we have one model. We have one model for one monster. And so I had to really get used to it. And I started doing, because other than social media, which I wish I had been around to be part of, like, see that set, because I'd never walked onto a live action set before. And I started doing background extra work over the last couple of years, just so I could get on set and see how that's actually done. But now I understand writing, like the Henson thing, which was going to be live action with puppets. They were really concerned about there was something in a casino, and there was like a whole chase scene through a horse track, and all this stuff. And like, no, we what can you do that's a little smaller but still exciting?
Yeah, does it have to be a racetrack?
Yeah, right. When you're writing now, like, even like, I don't know if you write a lot of spec scripts or something like that, but like, do you write with that budgeting concern in consideration now that you've seen the real world cost of stuff like that?
I don't. I'll be honest. I write for what I think it could be, and then I am perfectly
you're a scale it back person.
Scale it back person.
Yeah.
I'd rather get the note from the producer, like what, or the director, the team, what do we need to pare down to achieve the same effect for the shot or the scene. I'd rather get that note than you'd rather write small.
I'm the opposite. Like Tara's like you are. Tara will like, there's an explosion. And I mean, and most of the people that I've written with, Pat is always a great example. Pat Germano, who I wrote sketch with on stage. We did Black Box Theater sketch together, would write an explosion into everything, or a gunfight. And I'm just like, how are we going to do that? We can't, and so I'm always like, my brain doesn't go bigger than what it knows it can make. And then even then, sometimes I don't even realize how expensive the little thing that I put in there, like, and a bird does this. And you're like, Natalie, you have to get a bird. Like, that's
yeah.
We now need a bird.
Free. Yeah.
We need crows, a raccoon, a couple of possums, and a cat.
I guess I've always heard that, at least from my experience, I've heard that you want to get the attention first. Like, oh my God, there's aliens attack New York, and then there's a spaceship that crashes into the subway, and like that's gonna get somebody that doesn't know, like a studio exec's attention. Where now I'm trying to, because I'd love to get more into just nice comedy, indie film stuff. I want to do a comedy horror type thing. Like I want to write for that, but I need to readjust my expectations of what you can do on the budget.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, something about, I think it's more, I can't get excited about something I don't think I can get made. And so I even if I have those ideas that are big budget things, they don't ever get exciting enough for me to put pen to paper. Like I get
because I guess it's never gonna happen. Why would I write this down?
I guess I try to write for the biggest response as possible, and then somebody will say no to that.
That's what everybody says you're supposed to do, though. Everybody says you're supposed to write and you can always scale it back. I'm like, I just can't write it then. I can't, my brain can't get excited enough about it, which is
yeah.
You don't want to make it.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Back.
No, well, you just don't want to make a to-do list for things that you're never going to do. Like, oh, make a ball gown and also, board a spaceship. Like, well, we're never going to do that. Why am I writing this to-do list? Yeah. Makes sense.
I think that's probably the difference between coming up like in the big studio where like that wouldn't have been a problem. Like we just would have had a meeting. We would have and then they would have just done it. Where now I want to be more realistic about it.
Yeah.
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 When you're writing, I also was kind of curious because we wrote the whole movie that we're working on first, and then went back and we're like, oh, they want us to submit a treatment for script competitions or whatever. So we're reverse engineering a lot of things currently. Do you write like your outline, your treatment before you start on a script, or do you? Yeah. Okay. You follow the rules. Fine.
I do because I can't. So I'm a wonderful combination of OCD and sort of a ADD. So I'm super obsessive about the details, but I'm terrible at the big picture. Like I get distracted really easily. Like there's always another thing for me to work on, another idea that's probably it's going to be funnier or better than this one.
Oh.
So I need to get things as locked down in that outline as possible. So that way I feel like more committed, because if I just start writing like just in final draft or something, I'll just get bored because I don't know what comes next. I need to know like where this is heading before I can get there. And I know other people that don't need that.
I was really impressed. So when we sent you Evil Teddy what did we say? Here's an idea. Here's a I think we had a we didn't have a
I think you had a
line.
page. I think
do we have a page? Well, it was based off of a YouTube sketch that was a fake trailer for a fake movie, and that's all we had. And we sent you this with this idea, and you came back with like there were all these characters that had character arcs and traits, and like, I was like, what? Like my brain can't. I mean, I loved. I thought it was the most amazing thing that had ever come back to me. I was just, but I just, my brain doesn't work that way. Like, I think that's because Tara and I write for each other mostly. There's no other characters.
Well, our writing has been limited to like involving as few people as possible in our chaos and insanity. So we just don't write. We can handle it. It's one scene. Go.
Yeah. I think that's the fun part. Like, I wish I had room for like the big like cork board, the idea wall thing that I know other writers use, but really it's not how I used to think before I met Justine, my partner, and getting like notes from Meg and Lorian, because they're very much that structure of like, what are the characters, like it's the character that drives the story, not the plot. So it's the character's choices. So I want to know like why are they doing this? Like, why don't they just stop and just stay home instead of going out, to Mordor? So like what type of thing.
Okay.
So
why did they go back in the house?
Right. Which is what I would do. And that's the note that I would always get from my own writing before, like stuff I was writing on my own when I took a class at DreamWorks up in the Bay Area, was that my characters were very passive, because that's how I think normal people act. Like you're a normal person and there are events happening around you and you're responding to those events, where in a really gripping story, it's the character's choices, the character's bad choices that drive them along this. They're choosing to be involved in this. And it took me a long time to figure that out. So I always really try to get that lockdown in my outline.
Well, that's, I mean, and you were talking about when you were trying to write sketch or when you were writing sketch, and I don't remember their style as much, but there was very different school of thoughts in the sketch world. It was like funny people in ordinary situations, and it was ordinary people in extraordinary situations was another school, and then the other one was just chaos. I think that was Upright Citizens was just chaos. Groundlings was weird people in regular situations, and Second City was regular people or in extraordinary situations, was what they all kind of like focused on.
Maybe that's why that teacher at UCB didn't like me, because I always like the normal person like finding themselves like, what the hell is happening? And like that to me is the humor.
That would make sense. Yeah.
And Upright Citizens Brigade was much more like what was the one out of Canada? Kids in the Hall. It was the same. They had the same kind of like, pop your head like a beanpole, like that kind of comedy was what was coming out of there. And so it is not character driven necessarily, or just chaos.
So maybe that's what happened. I also knew that I was in trouble when I walked into the UCB. I think it was the Franklin one. Is that one gone now? What's the one that's
Franklin's gone. Yeah, Franklin's gone.
And then my first day. Was it Franklin?
Sunset's gone.
Sunset?
Franklin's still there. Sunset's gone.
Okay. Yeah. Sunset is the one I went to and I was in that little cafe they had in the first floor.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew, like, I was in the sketch writers group, so we were pushed into the corner of the little cafe, like writing in the dark
writers
corner.
Go to the back of that room.
Yeah, and then the improv
performers
people,
at
the ones
front.
Practicing accents, like they're all standing up on tables. I'm like,
oh my God,
I am so scared right now. They terrify me.
Here's the thing. This is a total sidestep story. UCB had a coffee shop, which was great. Yeah. IO had a bar. It was amazing. The IO bar was like my favorite home away from home, like hangout bar, because it was like a dive bar, but people were funny, but you could tell like the newer people would be like really loud and annoying, and the real pro season performers were like chill, and that like formed my belief system of like how to be in public as a performer. And so the UCB coffee shop was like, oh yeah, let's give a bunch of performers some caffeine and then stick them in this cafe all together, and they're all bouncing off the walls with each other. I'm like, sit down, everybody. I was like, I'm an IO girl. Just because they had a bar.
I wish I had gotten over that. They're still around, right?
IO? They're no longer here. Okay. They're just in Chicago. They closed their Los Angeles offices.
Improv Olympics,
they
hate
us.
Anybody.
They hate us. So they
don't know
the
insider terms.
I knew I was never meant to perform. I don't know if I've ever told you the story, Tara, where as a kid, that's what I wanted. Like, I thought I would be more on stage, like in front of people, like doing stand up or like in plays and things like that. And then when I was in high school, there was an all-women's college, Elms College, down the road from us, and they had a flyer up once about they needed males to come over and be in Finian's Rainbow. I don't know if you know that play. It's a musical. So I was whatever, sharecropper number 3. I spent months like learning how to sing these songs and doing the dances. And the night before the rehearsal before opening night, the musical director pulled me aside and he just said, Brian, I just want you to know that it's okay if you just mouth the words. And so, because I had such a terrible voice that, and at that point I'm like, I guess that's the end of this. I'm just gonna learn how to write stories, I guess. So that was the end of my desire to perform anything ever, and that includes pitch meetings. Like that, I get so nervous standing up in front of anybody and pitching.
I could. Understandable. Like you got burned as a child, and that's now formed your entire personality.
That was the moment.
How dare they spoil your light like that? What is it? I've never we're closing in on the end of our session here today, but I'm just so curious. Like, what is a pitch meeting like? Like, I've never done a proper pitch meeting before, and I'm just so curious where we're headed to someday.
Yeah, I mean, this is my experience is mostly animation, but the Henson thing was my first live action thing. I like introduced myself earlier. I get very nervous in public situations with people I don't know. Like with you guys, it's fine, but like in a pitch meeting, you're in front of, like, I'll use the Disney example. I've had a couple Disney pitch meetings, and both times I came out of there feeling like I should never come back here ever again. One was I pitched a Disney. This is way early on. I pitched a Disney. Disney Kids, a Disney Channel type movie about it was about a studio executive that gets laid off from her job, and her daughter is in a school Christmas play. And so the studio exec mom takes over the play. She's like, I don't have a job anymore. This is my new project. And she kind of steamrolls over. And
I can get that made out here in a heartbeat.
Well,
I'm not kidding.
That would do well.
That's what gets made in Utah.
Yeah, that would do well in Utah.
That. But at the time, I guess it didn't go over so well because I was brought in by these two independent producers that had read my script and like, we want to see this get made. We're going to help you. They had brought me into this Disney meeting, and the Disney exec, after I did my pitch, you have to, you're performing. You have to like tell the story and pause for questions. And so at the end, the Disney exec said, "This is horrible. We would never portray a mother in that light. No Disney mother would ever be overbearing like that."
Because we don't have mothers in our movies.
And at
They're
that
all
point,
dead in Disney movies.
The two producers that had brought me in turned and pointed at me and said, "We told him to change it, but he wouldn't listen." And that was the end of the pitch meeting. And so we never spoke again.
I would say that would have been my Brian, you don't have to sing moment. Like, I would have never bounced back.
But that's a great idea. It's like a Hallmark movie without it being a romance. You could absolutely make that in Utah. I mean, side note,
now I could play the mom now.
Get a hold of it. I think you guys need to sidebar on this conversation because I think that's actually a great idea, and Utah is absolutely a place to make that movie.
We would 100% make it out here. Yeah.
100%.
But I was so bummed. I really had built this up. Like, okay, here's another big moment.
Here's my break.
My big chance. I love this idea, and
it's a great idea.
And so the other pitch meeting I had was the one with Meg LaFoe at Disney, and that was she's an amazing pitcher. Like, she's just an amazing presenter. I am not, so I felt very like nervous the entire time. And the moment I saw, I had drawings up, I had the pitch deck, we had the whole thing where we told the story and who the characters were. I just saw the executive's eyes flicker up to the clock. And at that moment, I was like, I just
and then
lost
you just
it. Yeah,
nosedive.
Yeah, exactly. Ooh, and then I just peed myself and excused myself in the hallway. But I need to be, when I am pitching anything, I will say that going remote, like Zoom, has been the best thing for me because I can just talk, and if I don't want to look at the screen, I can turn the screen off. I don't get nervous about being in front of anyone. I'm just telling a story. And like the best pitch meeting I had was it was to an animation studio that had me do a development on a game they had done, and they wanted to pitch it as a movie. I didn't get the job. I won't say anything else. I'll just say it got announced and had a lot of elements that I had pitched in it. But the director turned off. He's like, "I'm just going to turn off my camera," and I'm fairly sure he left the room. So I think I was just talking to myself, and it was the best pitch meeting I've ever had. I was laughing, I was making jokes, I wove stories together and mythology.
You should have recorded it and just like, I'm going to put this recording up for you now.
Well, I have very, very similar. I am a terrible auditioner. I get so nervous. I walk into that room and I am now the worst version of like, I can't get out of my own way on everything. The things I say are not funny. I have this really weird twitch that will my right thigh starts to go like a jackhammer.
Oh, yeah.
And like, as I'm standing there, I've got a new rule when I audition, I wear flowy skirts, so that you can't see it.
You can't see that.
MC Hammer pants. Just get big.
Yeah.
But there are times where I'm like, I don't care about this audition, and then I'm fine and I kill it. I have to figure out I need to go through hypnosis before I go into these things so that I can just not care. And then I'll kill these auditions.
Yeah,
but
that's
whatever
the thing that's we got to do, because you're not okay. So here's, like, if I had to say it in a nutshell, when you're pitching, you're not pitching the story. The executive, they want to hear it. They want to be interested in it. You're pitching yourself. Like that is the whole thing. Because every studio that decides they're going to spend $1 bajillion to make your show or your movie, they want to make sure that you're the person to work with. The story, they're going to have notes. They're going to make changes. What you're saying is only going to be vaguely resembling what the end project's going to be in a studio setting. They want to know that you're the person that they can call in the middle of the night with their ideas, or you're going to respond to all the marketing notes and all the stuff. They just wanted to make sure that you're the artist, you're the person, the creator that they want to work with more than the actual idea. Because 9 times out of 10, I've heard from writers, what they pitch, they don't get that job, but the execs in the room will remember you, and they'll go, hey, we're developing this book that we bought, this IP. You're a fun person to work with. We're going to give you a call and give you a shot, because that's what they're doing now. Like, original ideas are so hard to sell.
Right. Yeah.
But they want to know that you're the person that they want to call back into the room to work with.
You're just selling yourself, not really your idea. That's awesome.
It always goes back to don't be a dick.
Yes. Yeah, there's a world where we in this podcast go into pitch decks later on, because that is literally its own topic. You can spend, oh my goodness. So we may touch back on that, and like we might bring you back in to talk about pitch decks, that's a whole other world that Natalie and I are also, because of this feature, having to endeavor. And Natalie's doing a lot of the heavy lifting right now on the currently. Doing the deck.
I'm going to talk about this pitch deck for 2 seconds because we're actively working on it right now.
Yes.
In that I don't want to do, like, we got really lucky. Allison went through and did all of the heavy lifting on it. And now I just get to do the pretty part of it.
Yes.
I'm doing the ambiance, and she went through and did all of the recipes.
It is nerve-wracking. There are companies just dedicated to making pitch decks now. I can't do Canva, or I have such a hard time with Illustrator or whatever software you're going to use. There are companies and people, resources to make them. I would say, if you're for Animator, the most amazing pitch deck to me, if you look it up, it's available online. It's the pitch deck to Adventure Time. It is, I think, one of the most fun animation pitch decks created. I like it. It gets you excited. Like, there's these characters, here's the world, and don't focus on, for a series, don't focus on the episode so much. They want to know what the world is, and again, they're gonna mash it into their mandate shape anyway. So
wow, guys, an hour flew by already. Can you believe that? That's insane. Because we had backup content. We had like a breakdown of our script synopsis, or not our script.
That was gonna be the recording of me singing.
Because you were one of the readers, one of the early readers for like the first real version of the script that we put out there, and you gave us back these great notes. Natalie, do we have time to cover any of those, or?
Yeah, you know what? Let's do that really quick, and then we'll wrap up here, because I did the work. I did the work.
You did the work, and like it was such a good. You did such a wonderful thing giving us notes.
So yeah, one of the things in your writing is you have to send out the script to other people and ask them for feedback, and it's a pain for everyone involved. No one wants the feedback. No one wants to sit there and read your script. So thank you for reading our script.
Thank you.
When it was 88 pages, it is now 100 pages. That was the first thing, was like, as I was going through, I was like looking at the old script that you had looked at, and I was like, okay, it was 88 pages then, because we've done a lot of changes since then. It is 100 pages now, which is not necessarily the direction you want to go.
No, yeah, you're in the right range.
Yeah, you're in right. We're in range.
Anyway, Brian's notes were almost a year ago. Was the first thing that I noticed. It was a year ago. It was almost a year ago that we sent this out to get notes. You wanted a bigger fight in Act 2, which we did. We added in what we ended up adding in there because of that. And it was from other people's feedback as well, because we sent it to like 3 different people, and then the people we're going to be working with. You wanted us to up the stakes on the breakup moment, and we did. One of your notes was like having her go home, but we didn't. We have that floated, and instead we send her back to the bunker. And I think it works out and ends up creating one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing now.
That's great.
We had to add this whole thing that is all this, why they end up getting back together. I'm just going to ruin, things for everybody.
You spoiled the whole thing. You can only afford one castle.
Exactly. It made the reconnection scene so much sweeter, and it's heartwarming. And actually, when we did our last table read of it, I was in tears. Like, we had gotten to this point of like, oh, we put so much more heart in here because of developing that. And then the other big thing was the animals. We did bring the animals. We didn't kill off all the animals. And now there's a possum we have to deal with, and a wild pack of dogs that are keeping us inside. We think they're zombie dogs.
Crows.
And there's crows and everything. So like those two, I just want to talk on those two. Like, those two were your big ones. And we got similar feedback about different things, and we went through and upped our stakes, I think, considerably, without sacrificing anything that we liked in our script. Because that's another thing, is there's some things that you wrote back that we kind of just needed to hear someone else say it. We doubled down on them. Like there was one that you're like, this is a long time, a long monologue with no cuts. And what we did is we took all the cuts out of it. We went, no, we want this
Double
to
down.
be painful.
Nice.
Like, you know, it was like, you got a monologue here that goes on for an entire page with no cutaways. You know, there was like one, I think, in it. We went,
Yeah. Double
longer,
down.
no, you know, like obviously we weren't getting that point across. We want this to be uncomfortable.
Tracking shot.
Exactly. And then we did like take things like, you know, the hint, like how long was our friendship? And instead of like making a scene out of it, we just threw hints in. There's picture frames and things like that show them in college and high school. So it were little things that sometimes you have to hear what other people's feedback just to know what you want to fight for too.
Yeah.
You know, often that's for me. It's like, getting the feedback and going, no, I don't agree with you. I'm right. And I'm doubling down on this. And then you go, oh, but on that, you're right. It's hinted, but it's not there. Anyway. So it's quite different from when we sent it a year ago.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Sometimes it's a great point. I think a lot of people, and I certainly have done that too, where I'll get notes. I'm like, oh, I gotta address all of this. And then you realize, shit, I listened to all their notes and it unraveled so much of what I wanted this to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say this. So that was my job on Curious George. Mostly was doing notes for people. And I liked doing it. But I also was on the receiving end where when I was at the Henson Project, our third draft was like the third draft of it. The next one was going to be the final version. That was the end of our contract. The third draft notes, we got something like 78 pages of notes on 100.
That's longer than your script. Yeah.
At that point, we're like, I think I want to die.
No.
Yeah.
Walk away.
That's awful. That's the
it doesn't
worst
do
thing.
anybody any good. It's a totally different. Should I start from scratch? And why would I do that? Because I really liked what we had going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've gotten feedback on our Imaginary Friends script when we got feedback early on from someone that we just went, nope, we're just not going to work with you. Like, because we don't like the feedback. And we did, we made changes, you know.
Some things, we did take in some of the notes.
It was like going to take
most
out.
You're like, eh.
No, that's
I mean, you got to be able to say that. There's got to be times where you think, oh, this is the thing. This is my big break, but it's gonna ruin your soul. Like you got to know when to walk away from something. If it's not aligned, why bother? Why have?
Yeah.
Looping back to your first thing, like this, it's such a short life. Like, why do anything that isn't fun to do if you can help it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true.
Burn it all down.
Burn it all down. And with that, thank you, Brian, so much for joining us. And that's the perfect line to end on. Burn it all down. Thank you so much for joining us, Brian. Will you please tell the people where they can find you, especially finding your sketches? I think that would be your one frame drawings.
Instagram.
Yeah, it is all on Instagram. That's the only social media I have right now is Scribble Ghost _Inc. Scribble Ghost is one word. _INC. And I'm sure they can find you if they click to you. We're connected.
We're tagging and all the things.
And then I'm on LinkedIn. If anybody, I'm piecing together a life since the WGA strike. So I spent some time working at Christmas tree lots and selling and doing janitorial duties at a garden store. And then this past year, for a full year now, I've been writing these web comics or localizing web comics for an overseas company. I would love to get back to work. If you need a comedy punch up, give me a call. And then Tara and Natalie, I hope that we're able to work together soon because we've talked about it for so long. It's just anything you do, even if it's a background extra. I'm a good corpse. I saw myself. I was on when we were flying back from Madrid. We clicked over their Hacks was on, and that's my one featured background extra shot is on Hacks. So I love doing that kind of stuff too.
Cool. We will definitely work together again. I'm gonna produce your executive Disney script out here.
That absolutely needs to be visited 100%. And then Evil Teddy. Evil Teddy is a good one.
All right.
We'll get paid for that one so that you can write Evil Teddy.
So you can write Evil Teddy. Yeah, we'll get you paid for that one so that you can. Yeah, that's exactly how we're gonna work. All right, Brian, thank you so much. That is a wrap on Brian Newlin, guys. Everybody, give a round of applause. Thank you.
Wrap on Brian.
Oh,
my
man,
goodness.
another great interview. I like our interview episodes the best.
They're fun.
Because
Yeah.
A, we don't have to do as much research, but also I feel like I learned so much talking to our friends. They're our friends, and yet I don't even realize the wealth of knowledge that they have.
I will have to put this out there that, and I'm not this girl, but we need to get some women in here.
I know. I have noticed that.
The trouble is who
the trouble is we're reaching out to our friend pool first, and most of our collaborators and friends are male. It's just
who we are.
It's just kind of what happened. I don't know.
Well,
but yes,
as we
will
move past the writer phase too.
That's true.
That's
a
also,
lot of
writing is a very male dominated.
A lot of the writers we have that are approachable for us are male, but as we travel on, we're gonna get more women in here because we've worked with a fair amount of women behind the camera. All right, so next week we are back to just us for the episode, and we are going to be reading a portion of the script and kind of diving in a little bit more of that stuff before we round out the script portion of this podcast. There is always a chance we revisit script writing again as we do rewrites or whatever. There may be something that comes up, but this next week we'll kind of round out script writing, and we'll be heading into the next phase
next
of
step
making a
is
movie.
Is building your team, your core team, director, producer, cha.
We're getting closer and closer to being on locking step with what's going on. All right, that brings us to my personal favorite part of the show, where I learn definitive things. Natalie,
this one I don't think this one's teaching you. This one's not as deep of a cut.
Okay,
but I think but I've made my way through the D's. This is the last of the D's on our Abby Singer shot, where I give you the vocab of the day. Our word today, or our term today, is Dutch angle, and that, or also known as the Dutch tilt. That is a camera technique that involves tilting the camera askew so that it's on its side, like on a diagonal. And it's supposed to create unease. Like the visual that they had for it was, they would do it a lot in 12 Monkeys. You know, every time that they would show him in his other world, the camera's tilted a little bit, and just makes you feel off. It makes the audience uncomfortable. Something's wrong. It's a very easy way to immediately put that in for people. Although the one thing I didn't know was that it was originally called the German angle, because it's originally a German shot, and it's Deutsch, like as in Deutsch. And then just slowly turned into Dutch angle.
They use, I learned this last Christmas that they use a lot of angles like that, and I didn't really realize it was called that. They use angles like that in the Grinch, the live action Grinch. A lot of the angles are like that to represent, to give you those uneasy feelings when you're dealing with the Grinch, which I was like, oh, that's really interesting to put that level of thought into a Christmas movie where Jim Carrey is in a giant green suit. Like, it was like, that's really going there.
That is one of the things that I don't have a lot of knowledge about, is how to use the camera angles to convey different things to your audience. And that's like, so cool. Putting where you place your person inside the framing gives different powers and things like that.
I love that. I love that stuff. I love learning about that stuff. It's so fascinating. Okay. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you are watching this live or post, we do have the podcast version of this, so you can listen to us while you're on a walk or gardening or whatever. You can find our podcast anywhere that podcasts are happening. If you are listening to this as a podcast and you want to join us, especially for interviews so that you can ask your questions in the sidebar, we do read those. Even if we don't bring them up, we lace them in artfully, because that's who we are, into the live stream. Come find us on YouTube every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, I think that's it for today, and we're gonna call it here. Bye.
And this is Cookie Corner. Cookie
Corner.
Material.
I always lean back in my chair finally when we hit the
That's
cookie
how you
corner.
know.
Oh, that's how you know.
So those of you who are still here or just tuning in, because you were like, what's happening right there? This is our little shush secret time afterwards. We stick around for another 10 minutes and chat with the peeps. A little interactive. This part does not make it onto the podcast, we cut this off, and now I have this fancy little banner that's going across the bottom of the screen.
So
that
fancy.
You know that it's
in
just
case you
your
don't know.
secret time.
I didn't even check in to make sure you had a cup for Cup Corner, because I was, oh, good. I usually ask so I don't have to, what does it say?
It says Boss Lady.
Boss Lady. I like that. That's so pretty.
I mean, it's very pretty. It's not a me candle. Like, I mean, it's not a me mug. I don't want it. Like, someone is going to want this as a candle though. So.
Oh yeah. I wish that I'm not, it's not that I'm against Boss Lady vibes. I just don't like things to say things like that, but I love the Art Nouveau design on it. That's really pretty.
Well,
like,
I think though that if someone had given me this as a candle and it said Boss Lady, I'd be like, heck yeah, but I wouldn't buy it for myself. That's definitely a gift.
Yeah, I'm not boss ladying myself, but I am accepting the boss lady for which that you are handing me. Gratefully. Yeah. Excellent. And in like, this won't happen very often, but I just happen to have in reach, like for a Lego corner, this really ridiculousness. This is an OG. Goodness. This is like 2001 Harry Potter Lego set that I got here.
Oh, wow.
Focus here. Yeah, like one of the original. I got it for $10 already opened.
That's awesome.
I discovered on eBay you could buy already open Lego sets for like basically the same price that they were at the time that they were first put out, or like a little bit more.
Oh, really?
And I was like, oh, I love that, because I want the older ones, but I don't want to open the box because I feel bad about that. I also don't want to spend the money on that. That's just ridiculous. But especially, and these old sets are really terrible. They're so ugly. They really are. But I want them because it's funny and it's neat to watch the evolution. For those of you who don't know out there, I have my little bit of hyperfixation went nuts over Lego in the last year, and we have accumulated quite a few pieces because I'm crazy.
We should have said it on the live stream, but in case you didn't notice, in case you hadn't seen, turns out is a finalist at the Desertscape International Film Festival. We will find out this week if they announced the winner this week, and so we'll find out.
This week? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, at the very least, we'll definitely should say it at the top we should start saying at the top of the show, like, all right, here's what's happened in the last week that is applicable to Turns Out.
That has to do with Turns Out.
Has a direct correlation to these things. In other film news, we finished post-production on In the Event Of. It is up on the Film Freeways. Well, we have like another version to make it, but we have this
version is done.
I know. I got done with the color correct, and like gratefully, the color correct I probably won't have to fully do again because I did it 3 times already as it is. Because Premiere.
Well, I was thinking I could do the sound all over.
That's true. You had to revisit.
So I had to start the sound from scratch. Yeah.
Yeah, but we
it'll be fine. I don't care.
It'll be fine. I know how to make it easier. But for this version, the family-friendly version, I guess, it's done. It's up. It's submitted to the festival. We're looking at you, Waco Independent Film Festival. Like we were submitted to that festival. The poster is moments away.
I love the poster. So the caveat on it being submitted to these festivals is that this isn't our normal submission stuff. This is a punched up sketch that we have, we're submitting it to places that take short films. And so while it doesn't quite fit that, but we're hoping that it's fun enough and kooky enough that it gets into strange blocks and stuff. We like it, but it's not a traditional short film. And that'll make it hard to program. So
it's not our traditional short film. It's not our traditional work. Even like it's very much.
It's something we enjoy. Old traditional work.
Yes,
it's what we used to do. Yeah,
it's not what we've gotten known for, but it is. It's stuff that we enjoy to watch. And when we see these pieces at film festivals, we always love them. There was one with like a Yeti that they kept showing the commercials for this.
Oh yeah.
It's in the same.
It was fake commercials, 3 fake commercials for a soap. Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
Something like that.
It was
yeah,
or beer. I don't remember. But
it was
there
beer.
Was a Yeti.
It was a beer.
It wasn't, and there wasn't a Yeti. It was a lumberjack. And I think there was a Yeti by the end. But it was just so weird. It was, and we're hoping we fit into that category because this is just weird, and I think you watch it, and I think we'll try to figure out how to get it someplace for our diehards to see, like put it unlisted and give you guys a secret link.
I think an unlisted version is the way to go. Yeah,
it's so silly.
Because who knows how long this sucker runs the circuit? Because this film festival run for this project is going to be very much a catch if catch can. Like, oh, hey, let's do this one. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I just submitted it to another festival that, again, it's a small festival. I love this festival, Kanab Film Festival.
Oh,
they have such limited programming that, I mean, and they do traditional film, but they have, you know what they do have? They have a thing that they do called, I can't remember what it's called, but they show horror films and kind of R-rated for Utah. So nothing too extreme, but they show them in a cave on a projector at night. It's really cool. But they're almost all horror films. Yeah. So this fits in that like vibe. But this is not a horror film. So like maybe it could go into that. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think the new edited version will be one that we can submit to like the true edgy comedy film festivals, which we don't normally even pay attention to because we know that our current work is not what they're looking for. We learned that on Imaginary Friends. Like, you don't want our chuckle
version. The punched up version, I think, would be.
Yeah. Yes, I think so. I started in comedy and Film Freeway. I started a list that's comedy to start putting comedy film festivals that are like that we just don't really look at because they're not gonna want our stuff because it's not coastal city punchy enough. But this might be. Yeah, I'm excited. It's
and I think the one that I just finished writing, I think it could be.
Oh yeah,
it's 7 pages, Tara.
That's awesome. No, I think that's definitely Comedy Film Festival.
It has a beginning, middle, and end. Like, so it's not just a sketch. There is a beginning, middle, and end to it.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times the sketch is one joke that you're, running through. This one has an arc. Now it's a ridiculous, stupid arc, but
it's
and there's
great.
But I'm excited about it. I think it can be really funny, but I need to.
No, I'm glad that you're gonna make it happen because I think it's.
Well, you're producing it.
Oh, okay. Noted. I'm like, am I invited to the party? I don't know. I'm just here and being very supportive until then.
You're producing it. I'll be producer on the ground, but you're probably
You'll be the field producer. I'll be the remote producer that does the. All right, here's your spreadsheet.
Right, and then we'll come out there and we'll film your part. So you'll have a part in it. If anybody, and I think we talked about it on here. Did it come up here? Was it during Shush that we? I need to stop hitting that. Maybe I can flip it to the other side. Came up with the idea for the purging, which is once a year. Yeah. For 30 minutes, once a year, you get to purge your significant other's things. And I think
it was a Zoom conversation you and I had.
Okay. Oh,
yeah,
it was.
I think so. Yeah.
It wasn't in a live stream.
Which is the same thing to us.
Yeah. Anyway, so I wrote this entire thing out parodying The Purge as much. I mean, there's a couple of lines in there that are there's a whole scene that I added in there that is from The Purge originally. But I want it to just devolve into chaos of breaking your significant other's things. And there's the hardest part is I need 2 children about 10. I have a scene for 2 children dressed in like Rambo costumes guarding their toys with Nerf guns in the closet, and then they throw away all the vegetables. But it's very family friendly. It's all just like the carnage is all knickknacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. It's actually family friendly, hilarious, and very topical. It actually touches on things that are topical without directly saying this is my stance on the thing. It's just this is the relation to or this is a thing.
And I'll put that in my director's statement this is my
you should.
A point about consumerism.
I'll Jimmy, I'll figure out, I'll post rig up your perspective thesis. You just come up with the idea and I go, you know how this relates to the modern world now. That's your statement, which you don't have to stand behind. It just has to be that's what this is.
Well, and I don't want, I just had another idea. I don't want, I don't know if I want to direct it. Like I could.
Yeah.
I don't know that I
Mhm.
want to though.
Yeah.
But I might. I might co-direct it. I
Yeah.
want to be in it for a part.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't really know that I want to direct. If I
Well,
was
you
going to
just
direct it, I would need a really strong DP because I don't have that kind of
right.
mentality. So
Mhm. Yeah.
I'd
Yeah. No,
probably
I
find
think
a
you
director instead.
I think you absolutely could. I think it's a case of you don't know what you know, how much you know.
Yeah.
But I understand the hesitation because you're just like, ooh, it's a. I get it because I want to direct a horror movie someday, and I'm like, I need a lot of education before that happens.
Yeah.
Like,
Maybe it's bringing in a director, but letting them let me shadow them.
yeah, you could be the not the first AD, but
No, I don't
because
want,
that's
maybe
a different job.
I don't really want another title.
No, you just want to,
I'll
yeah,
just
just want to
shadow so that I can
shadow.
get so I
Can I
can
just learn from you the
learn this. Yeah.
things? Yeah, yeah, I think that's the way to go. Bo show.
Anyway.
Any exciting things coming up this weekend in our worlds? Like, I'm taking a giant breath, and also got to get. There's so many boat things I've ignored that I have to take care of.
I
That's
filmed a
my
short
world.
film this last weekend.
That's
I'm filming one
right.
on Sunday. I'm doing student films. I'm doing another one on Sunday where I play a ghost.
Mm-hmm.
It's a comedy. This last weekend it was not a comedy. I was mean. It was a mean mom. Which I'm getting a lot of those roles now. That's gonna be my bread and butter.
Bread and butter,
Um,
Anita's mean mom.
Playing the mean mom, and then I'm filming another one following week. There was something. Oh, in Arizona, Obit is playing.
Oh, that's
I keep
right.
forgetting. Obit's playing in Dubuque, and I
I
keep kind of forgetting
know.
that too.
I
Like, oh wait, I
know.
have a movie there, a 23-minute movie.
Yeah, but you're like the lead in
I
this
am.
short film, this
There's
dramatic
so
piece that's
much of
really
me.
good. Yeah.
There's
Yes.
so too much of me.
Yeah, but you're
Do
like it's completely like out of your because you did it so long ago. It was like a year ago. This is what
right.
happens as an actor, and you're not like it's different when you and I make something together and we're so invested in every step of the process.
Yeah.
And like, so of course we remember everything that Imaginary Friends is doing in the moment because we're actively like going to go
Mm-hmm.
promote the thing because we're also the producers, blah, blah, blah. When you're just the actor in the thing, like I have a couple projects where I'm the actor. I'm like, oh, that's right. This project is out there
Well, we
and
just got May I
submitting.
Put You on Hold?
Right.
We just saw the final edit of that, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
going
Yeah.
out and about. So that should
Yeah.
be, those both took a while to get, I mean, things take a
Yeah.
while to get done. We've been on
Yeah.
the other side of that,
Yeah.
where
Yeah,
we're,
many of my like all the projects I did from January to April last year are just now wrapping
hmm
up. And they're all coming back with, hey, there's the final edit. We're gonna start submitting to film festivals. I'm like, oh, that's right. I have no control over this one. I have no idea
right.
what's going on. And oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's when, oh, see, and then there's like, okay, so, you know, I'm not submitting, I'm not reaching out and trying to get obits submitted to a couple festivals that I would normally put my things in, not because it's not good, but because
Not their jam.
it's not their jam. You know, I
Yeah,
know it's not going to it's not going to get accepted.
right,
Um, because of the topic, you know, and the same
right.
thing with May I Put You on Hold, like, because it's not anti-religion at all, but because it's
Mm-hmm.
not, I just think it would have a harder time
It's
playing out here
the
too.
subject matter. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so
Where
it's like,
like
oh,
Dubuque
well,
has a foundation related to the subject matter. So like they absolutely
oh yeah.
want that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get paid
Bitch.
only to bartend?
I don't know. I haven't gotten, you get paid to act every once in a while.
Every once in a
Every
blue,
once in a great while.
yeah, sometimes, not always. It's
I
not
have to self tape this week for a paid gig that I'm hoping I can play the
oh, nice.
psychiatrist in. I have to
Nice.
film that
Excellent.
tomorrow.
Tamara. Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I probably need to start looking at producing work. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, I'm gonna wait until we get through the bulk of in the event of, and then I'll start the process of like, okay, producing career, even though it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
The industry's a mess right now, but I'm still gonna start looking at what I
Well,
can
I can
do.
offer you a credit
Excellent. I'll take
for the
that. I will
purging.
take that. That's where I'm at right now. I want credits, but I do
But the
need to.
purging's one that I will be submitting all over the place.
Yeah,
Like that,
yeah.
I'm not putting it. I don't want to put any money into the front of that, but I'll put money in the back of it of
Back end.
of spreading it. Yeah,
That makes
and
sense.
that's going
Yeah.
to be, that has 5 different couples, 4 different couples, one solo girl. So there's a
Hmm.
bunch of like bringing in a bunch of our acting friends. I want to
Love it.
film
Yeah.
Allie and James out here. You and Alan, I think, as a couple.
Hmm.
just so I can use them.
Yeah.
And then probably the rest of it, me and someone else. And then I need one more couple with kids, with 2 kids. Ooh, you know who might be fun with that is Paula Rhodes and her husband and their kids.
Oh yeah, they would love to do that. Oh yeah, that's a good thing. They love to do that. They're always game to do stuff. Yeah,
That
they're
might be fun one.
SAG, but that's easy. Figured that out. No big deal. SAG has made it so much easier to film.
Yeah.
Deborah, the film festival is the Phoenix, Arizona Film Festival.
Yeah.
Am I saying all the right monikers?
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Really a big one, a good one, a really good film festival in Phoenix, Arizona. I really like it. So it's
Allison and Mike are out there with and Through the Portal We Go, and also Shen is out there with But I'm a Shoe.
Oh, nice.
Who is what made me think about, because I almost talked to her about having her on the show. Actually, this is really fun. I talked to her yesterday via text, and she's like, "Are you going to be in Arizona?" And I said, "Oh no, I have a film out there." Blah blah blah. She's out there, but she's going to be in Dubuque, and
oh, good.
And she says, I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Are you guys hosting the award show?" I said, "Oh well, we're presenting an award, but we're not hosting the whole thing. But we'll be doing our interviews." And she goes, "Oh, I finally get to do a Natalientara interview." And I was like, "You can check that off your bucket list." And she says, "You do not understand how FOMO I was watching all of my friends get interviewed by you guys."
Oh no!
And I was like, "Oh,
and if you guys thing,
you guys might know Shen. Hen, I'll never say her name right. It's okay. She'll forgive me.
Yes.
She did the Book of Ruth, which was an amazing short film. And then she has one called But I'm a Shoe, which is part animation, at least part. I don't know if they ended up, but Janet Varney is in that, and I am. She's if Hen had FOMO about not getting interviewed by us, I was so upset that she already had Janet Varney to play the lead role in this thing, because the minute I heard it read, I wanted that part so bad. But then I heard she had Janet Varney, and I was like, oh well, I'm not Janet Varney, so I understand.
Someday you'll be the Natalie Lynch in the thing, and they'll all want you. Deborah lives in Phoenix. Go to the Phoenix Film Festival. It's a really good film festival.
Yeah,
I love that film festival.
It's a 2-week festival, but all of those things I was talking about are happening this weekend. So on the 4th and on the 5th, you can see, and Through the Portal We Go. Allison and Mike are, that's their first feature film. Allison and Mike of Evening Squire are going to be the director of Turns Out, director and producer of our film. Shen is there with But I'm a Shoe. That's playing on Saturday. So playing on the 5th. They're all playing on the 5th. So you would have to catch one of them on the 4th. Through the Portal We Go is playing on the morning of 11:45 at the festival. And then Obit is actually playing as part of a panel. It's not actually in consideration for the festival.
Oh, okay.
It was a special allotment because it was too long.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
well, and the director has a really great relationship with them, so that makes sense. Yeah.
So they're playing it as part of a festival called How It Was Made. It's playing at 1:25. I think I linked the stuff, or I was sharing some of it on our Instagram yesterday. But it's part of a panel about mental health and filming mental health.
That's really awesome.
Yeah, so they're doing the first 23 minutes is Natalie. It's my face on the screen the entire time. And then
and I actually think that that's amazing. Like such a, if you, not as like a runner-up prize, but I think that's, your work was so good that despite it being too long to actually be in direct competition, it's so good we're still going to include it and make a panel out of it. That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen it.
I saw really early passes at it.
I saw really
early passes. Yeah,
but
I saw very early passes of it. Not even the tightened down version. I saw when they were in the early stages of it, and I thought you were awesome and amazing, and I was like, wow, she did such a phenomenal job, and it was really good. I was a part of the early story development process for that one, so I have a little bit of a bias towards it, but it's a topic and a subject matter that I am deeply into is not the words I want. Deeply.
You care deeply about.
Care about.
You care deeply about. You have to go backwards. You have to start over on that sentence.
I quietly champion. I don't ever talk about it very much, but it's a topic that I very much have become a champion of in life, but I don't talk about it. Anyways.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. That's fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that.
I have heard, I mean, I was talking to Ben yesterday via text about it. And he was saying that he's gotten 6 different rejection letters from festivals that were like, we loved this. It's just too long to program. Like we can't.
Fantastic.
He says, and all of them had good feedback about my acting. So, and I'm like,
yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, like,
yay,
boo, hiss, bummer. You don't get accepted in the festival, but your work is good. And 23 minutes, yeah. But like, that's what maybe it needed to be. Like you and I talk about this all the time. Like sometimes it just needs to be this long because, or less,
and
or whatever.
It'll find its space. That's also a thing, is that some festivals don't do longer shorts, and it's really hard to navigate each of your films to different festivals, because like, even like we were just talking about, like, we just made this one that we're not going to submit to most of the places that we would normally submit to because we know it's not their jam. However, there's a lot of festivals that we wouldn't normally submit our other stuff to that this is their jam, you know?
Right.
So you can't just keep going to the same festivals because unless your work stays exactly the same.
Yeah.
And you know they like a Wes Anderson no matter what, you know, but
do whatever you want, but this is what we're doing.
So Debbie, if you go, I don't know much about. I really wanted to go, but I am filming on Sunday, so I can't. I would have done the drive, but I'm filming on Sunday, so I can't. It's a 6-hour drive, and there's no reasonable airport here, so.
It
was too much time out of the day for them to go film.
It would have been worth it, but it's a conflict, for the best of reasons. So anyways, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining us for the credit cookie and joining us for the main thing. Hope you guys have a great week. We'll see you guys again next week, same time, same channel, all that jazz, to do a whole nother one. We'll be back to talk about writing one more time. Thank you, guys. See you
then we'll dive into things we don't understand at all.
And then this gets scarier. Oh my God. All right. Bye.
Bye, guys.